We have Claire back, Claire Robinson, head teacher at Holme Grange. Claire, thank you for joining us. Tell us a bit about your school.
Okay, hi. Yeah, we're through school, so we take students from nursery up to 16. We're boys and girls, non-selective, and have children of all abilities in the school.
So people are paying between about £2,200 and £5,900 a term. To a lot of people, that's a heck of a lot of money, but we're not talking about Eton and Harrow and places like that. We're not talking about 50 grand a year. What are the kind of parents who send their kids to your school? Just paint a picture of the kind of sacrifices sometimes people make to afford those fees.
Yeah, thank you. Our parents are everyday parents. Most of the parents are two working parents that are working hard and make sacrifices because they want to have the choice to choose where they send their child to school. So they have actively made the choice to go to independent schools and some are making many sacrifices to do so.
It's interesting because with this plan, 20% VAT on school fees, what effect would that have on your school?
I think it would affect some of our parents. Fortunately, we're financially sound, but I think it does concern me, this independent sector as a whole. Some of our parents may well have to consider whether they continue to fund independent education, because 20% on a fee, if they're paying $5,900 at the top of the school and have 20% on that, that's a considerable hike in fees. And so that may be something that they may have to reconsider, whether they wish to invest right the way through the school for their child.
Labour have said independent schools do not have to pass this change on to parents. What do you make of that?
Yeah, I would say that's quite right. But if independent schools could afford to run with their fees at 20% lower than they are at the moment, then they would be doing so. All the money the fees that come into most independent schools, in schools like ourselves, every penny gets reinvested back into the school for the pupils. And fee income is our only income. So we couldn't necessarily, like many schools, just have a 20% lower fee, because we would have been doing so for many years had we been able to.
Is this a tax on aspiration, do you think?
I think it's a tax on aspiration. I think it's a tax on choice. And I think it's potentially ill thought out. I'm not confident that the figures add up, and I'm not confident that the figures that they have claimed for many years would have an impact on state education and fund state education will actually come to fruition.
And on that point of potentially... Sorry to interrupt you, Claire, but on that point of the fees and the extra money, Labour say it would raise £1.9 billion, but actually if you have people taking their children out of the state school system, that doesn't quite work, does it?
No, it doesn't. And in fact, there has been an independent body that's looked at the figures and would dispute the figures that the Labour Party are putting out regarding the income that would come as a result of adding VAT on fees.
I want to ask you about the fact that only 6.4% of pupils in England, those are the figures from 2021, actually go to private school. I mean, some people might say, why do we care about wealthy people being taxed more?
They're not all wealthy people. That's the point, I think. Many of the parents aren't wealthy people. They've just made a choice that they would like to educate their children within the system that offers them something that perhaps they're not able to get or that they don't want in the state sector. I've been ahead in both sectors, so I understand how both sectors work, and I understand the strains in the state sector. And if you have a large increase of pupils back into that state sector, it potentially could put an increasing demand on them as well.
In terms of the people who are, you say they're not wealthy, just what are the kind of, are people having extra jobs? Are they taking extra work on and so on? Just tell us about some of your parents.
We have a very widespread of parent body, and I would say that the parent body, as I mentioned, basically make sacrifices. That most of my parents are two working parents, so both of the parents are working, and they require cover for their children throughout the holidays as well, to enable them to do so and to enable them to work to be able to continue with those fees that they're paying for their children to come to the school. So it perhaps sacrifices in other areas of their life that they may not, some of those parents, not all of them, but some of them would be making to make that choice for their child to come to school.
You've worked both in the state sector and in the independent sector. What are the benefits, do you think, of working in a private school? What's the difference? What's the value add that people get if they do make the sacrifice and send their kids to a private school?
I think it's opportunity. I think that the nature that we are independent is that we can have our own curriculum. We're driven, our school in particular, and I think many independent schools have their unique element of what unique. We're driven by our ethos, and I think that the opportunities that we provide our young people, they have a long school day, but it's a very busy school day. No one area of the curriculum is less important than another. So it allows every single child to engage in every area of the curriculum from a very, very early age and develop whatever may be their key strengths. And as we can find out what that might be, enable them to thrive.
Claire, thank you very much indeed. Claire Robinson there, Head Teacher of Holme Grange School. Appreciate that.